Hi, hello everyone. Hello Asia, hello Camille.
Hey, Anthony.
Hi, Anthony. Hi, Asa.
Just to mention, Camille and I were both in the office, so we're using the same room, and that's why we have only one microphone, but we have two cameras.
Yeah.
So if anyone cannot hear us well, please let us know in the chat.
Great. Well, I'm at home in my living room, so I hope my connection will be fine actually.
Lucky you.
Okay, so we already have some people connected here. Great. I can see some friendly faces. Good. Okay, so maybe we're going to wait a few seconds, a few minutes before everyone is connected, and then we might be able to start. How are things on your side, Asia and Camille?
Everything's good. Everything's good. A great week. I know
Yeah.
you're also based in Paris. So for those who don't know, so both like Anthony from Partoo and me and Camille from Waze, we're based in Paris, and they are announcing some amazing weather this week. I don't know, Anthony, if you're taking any holidays to enjoy it.
I actually come back from holidays. I was in Milano this weekend.
And
Yeah,
how was it?
it was great. It was great. It was sunny too, a little bit cloudy, but it was okay. Not as good as in Paris, but I loved it. It was for my birthday.
You're a Taurus.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
me too. So great team.
But yeah, we're going to have a fantastic week, I think, this week. Very sunny.
Quite
Yeah,
surprising, to be honest, for Paris, because the past 2 years, well, except when we were in the lockdown, when it was really nice. Like the year, I think it was last year when we basically like everything opened on the 18th of May, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was horrible weather. I don't know if you remember, it was horrible. Like we all wanted to enjoy like restaurants and like bars with good ratings. And then we couldn't because it was just so bad.
yeah, remember.
We're
We had a very sunny COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah, sunny COVID.
Well, great. We have more and more people. So yeah, like Asia was telling us, we are based in Paris, both Waze and Partoo team. But in the room, guys, where are you based? Because this webinar is for Benelux, and so are you all based in maybe Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg? Where are you all coming from?
Belgium. Great.
Okay.
Netherlands, great.
Perfect. Oh, South Africa. Okay.
South Africa, wow.
Portugal. All right. London. No, you're more than welcome. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Okay, well, during this webinar, let's start the introduction maybe, and I think we can go ahead. But good morning, and welcome everyone. So I'm Anthony. I'm a local SEO expert at Partoo, and I'm leading the team in the Benelux region. So today I'm joined by the wonderful Waze team. So I will pass on to them so that they can give you a quick hello.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. So I'm Astia, and I'm account executive for the Netherlands, but also Eastern Europe. So today I'm here as a representative for the Netherlands, as it's the point of this webinar. And I'm with Camille. So Camille.
Yeah, and I'm Camille, so I'm basically in charge of Belgium. I'm doing the same jobs at Asa. But yeah, we've joined basically at the same time.
Yeah, like more than 2 years ago.
Yeah, more than 2 years, so happy to be here with you, Anthony.
Yeah, me too. Great, thank you. So I see, like I said, I see some friendly faces. I think Q Park is here, one of our clients that we will actually talk about today. So great to have you there, and many others. I'm going to quickly introduce part two. For those who don't already know us, here is a very quick summary. We are a tech startup created in July 2014. So it's been like 7, almost 8 years that the story is growing. We have more than 300 people. When I started, like almost 4 years ago, we were just 25. So that's huge growth, and we're very proud of it. We have now more than 4 offices, and we are present in more than 100 countries. So we have a growth of 100% per year that we're very proud of. But more than that, 98% of our clients renew every year because of the quality of the support and the happiness team that we can provide. We just recently, like 2 years ago, received an investment of 15 million from one of our main investors, which is Webedia, a leading company in the content industry in Europe, which allowed us to grow and to recently acquire a new company, which is Pulp. Some of you might know maybe Sunday. Well, this is a European competitor, which is a QR code order and payment company. So enough about us, because today it's mostly about your digital strategy for your point of interest, for your physical stores, your branches, your agencies, and we will be able to discuss together the importance of both organic and paid visibility online. So organic will be mostly with Partoo, and then the paid one with our friends at Waze. So moving briefly to the agenda, part 2 will cover the following topics. First, we will cover the importance of organic search and local SEO. What are the main trends, the key strategy to perform well, but also to understand the main type of online searches for your prospects. The second point, we will study online visibility and e-reputation, delving into why it's important for all Benelux companies, especially multi-location companies, and give you some tips to help you manage this project, of course. Before passing to the mic to the Waze team, I will go into a bit of more detail about the results that we have had with one of our dear clients, which is Q Park. We're helping them in the Benelux, of course, but also in more than, I think, 7 different countries to manage the online presence of their point of interest, their parking. So now let's go into the concrete. Well, every day there are millions of searches made online. So how can you really benefit from this? Let's have a small refresher with the 3 main ways to do this, because there is, like we said, organic and paid also visibility. So the first one would be SEO. It includes all the techniques that you need to improve the visibility of your website in the Google search result pages. This concerns mostly organic traffic with a long-term strategy around your website. The key here is the website. Then you have local SEO. This will include all techniques to improve the visibility of your physical point of interest on Google Search and Google Map. This concerns local organic traffic, and here we have a medium long-term strategy around the Google business listings. This is here the expertise of Partoo. And then we will have the SEA, which is about the increase of your online visibility by purchasing specific keywords on specific search engine. This will concern paid traffic, short-term strategy, and this will be the expertise of the Waze team, of course. So all of these strategies combined are very powerful and should be addressed all together, of course. Now, if we go, so in the following slide, we will have an interesting fact that I don't know if you are all aware about this fact. It might be a surprise for some of you in the room, but third-party websites like Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, Facebook, local, etc. So the search engine, the GPS, the social networks, they create, in average, 28 times more interaction than your own website. This is, I think, huge. This is just an average of a study that we have done for our clients in various industries. But for instance, one of our clients, Pôle emploi, which is the public administration in France that manage unemployed people benefits, they generate 100 times more interaction on Google Maps than on the website. So that's really, really an important channel of visibility and communication. On the right here on the screen, we can see an example of Google, but we could replicate this with other search engine GPS like Waze. So in this example, we put ourselves in the shoes of a user who, like all of us, will have found themselves in the situation of withdrawing money from an ATM and search ATM in Brussels, for instance. As you can see from the result, the first results are dominated by what we call the local pack of Google. So the map of Google Map, and then three different listings, three establishments that can be a good match for our search. This example will be replicated, of course, in any industry, any type of businesses. In addition, it is also very important to analyze how the user searches on the internet, considering the purpose and the intention of the search. So we have three main types of local search. The first one will be the direct one. So here it concerns around 20% of the search. And what we really want to assess is the brand awareness and notoriety. People here, they actually know that they want to go in your store, in a specific store. So here the example is the Starbucks based in Denmark. And we just want here to make sure that we have the right and correct data updated, like the right address, name, and phone number, so that people can easily join you and buy the coffee. Then it will be about the brand search. So it's around 30% of the local searches. Here we want to look for a Starbucks in Amsterdam. So we know that we want coffee from this specific chain, but we don't know which one. So we are asking Google for some recommendation. And here Google will help us with three different Starbucks around us, around our position. And the last one, so if I sum up the first two one, direct and brand, they are mostly about the brand awareness and the image that your brand will have. Then the discovery one are very important also, because this will be about new clients, new business, people that don't actually know you, or they didn't identify you as the one main supplier for them. So it's 50% of the search, and it's people that want a service or activity that you can provide, but then they will ask recommendation to Google. So here it's a coffee shop, but for me, when I was in Milano this weekend, it was, for instance, a restaurant or a nice bar to have a very nice aperitivo. If we go on the next slide, here we will see now the ranking factors of the algorithm. How do we benefit from those searches? Because there are millions of them. Well, we just need to follow the Google algorithm. So it's quite different from the SEO algorithm for the website, where there is many different factors. For the local SEO, it will be a little bit more easy with less criteria. So, of course, the first one will be the distance. If I am in Brussels and I ask for a coffee shop, of course, the algorithm of Google will not offer me a very nice coffee shop in Amsterdam. That makes no sense. So we will stay in Brussels in the same city. Then we will have the data management. Here it's about how well do you offer a good data, a good quality of data to your customer? Do you have the right information about all your branches, all your point of sales presented directly to the customer? And then is it true? Is it the same information as other platform where people can find you? Because we have this principle in the local SEO, which is the NAP consistency. The fact that Google will compare different information about your store between different platforms. So they will check, for instance, the name, the phone number, and the address. And they will check if this information is exactly the same between other sources of information to be sure that this result will be trustworthy and relevant to the query of the user. So they will analyze this on Google, on your website, on Waze, on Apple Maps, on Facebook Local, etc. So you want to be present there with updated information. And the second one would be the reputation. Reputation is the second criteria, the second most important criteria in the ranking factors. So here it's about the volume of reviews that you're going to have, the average score that you have, and of course, do you process correctly those reviews? Do you reply to all of them, positive and negative, with the right tone, the right keyword, etc. And the last one will be the optimization, because if you already knew this, you know that Google Business, before it was just a random listing with just some picture, the name, the photo, the address, the phone number of your business. But now it's much more. You can make it a commercial display where you can put some ads about your product. You can put a lot of different information about your services, your menu, your product, your offers, and it has become a way to do even more business with the local establishment. So now that we have seen this, we didn't yet clearly stated why presence and reputation are very important on all of those sites. So let's analyze some key figures right now about the online presence of the brand. The first figure, which is very important, is because 76% of the internet user, they will use monthly navigation app like Waze, like Google Maps or Apple Maps. So that's a lot. Secondly, according to recent data from Google, some searches that contain the words near me, they increased by 250% compared to the previous 2 years. And the third point that's worth noting is that Google reports that 60% of mobile users claims to have contacted a store directly from the Google listing through the call to action, calls, or chat button to message with some local businesses. Last but not least, it's about the customer experience. We want to avoid user frustration that would turn into a bad brand reputation. Frustration can be generated through incorrect information, such as wrong opening times, addresses, or phone numbers. So how can you improve this online presence on Google? Let's see together quickly some optimization. We won't go through all of them because it's a lot. If you want more information, I would strongly advise you to don't hesitate to contact me after this webinar so that we can discuss this personally with your own situation. But basically, you must make sure that you own actually every listings of your brand. Otherwise, if you don't have the validation of the listings on Google, you cannot possibly update them. So that's the first thing and the basic thing. Then you have many different features that are evolving over time. So for instance, we would advise you to have a lot of photographs. We have a study from Google that says that listings with more than 100 pictures would actually gain more traction and more visibility. You can advertise about, not advertise, but mention your attributes, the services that you have in store, the delivery, the click and collect. You can publish some Google posts about news, events, product promotion, or even COVID information about the hygiene and safety in your establishment. You can add different categories. For instance, if you are a bar or restaurant and you only mention a bar in the category, then if you didn't mention a restaurant, you will have a hard time to appear in the query of the user, which will search for a restaurant. So you need to add additional categories. You can have up to 10. And then you can even publish some products. It's the right time to mention what you can sell and additional link to get, for instance, more bookings, more appointments if you are a banking or insurance company, for instance. So let's now dive into e-reputation and understand its importance. Here, the trends that we can have about the e-reputation is analyzed by a recent study that we made at Partoo. So we asked around 1,100 respondents when we did this study in partnership with Epidemics, which is an independent survey company. The key findings here that will help us to understand why ratings and review are so important is because they have gradually become the main criteria for choosing a venue on the internet. Today, when you visit a city for the first time, the user and you, I guess, even you guys in the Waze team, you will almost systematically look at online reviews before going to restaurant or choosing a nice shop where if you want to buy anything in there. But it's also the case in our own city where we live, for instance, in Paris, or for you guys in Brussels or the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. You have in your own city, you use the review to choose your dentist, a hardware store, a supermarket, or any type of business. So the statistics prove it because, as you can see, 7 out of 10 people, so 70% of them, they read online reviews before going to an establishment or a store. You cannot possibly miss that. Moreover, 60% of users, they will consider a store rating below 3.5 unacceptable, and therefore would never visit a place with this kind of rating. Of course, you need to put that, you need to relate that with your industry and the average score in your industry, but this is already a very strong signal. Do you agree or disagree on this point? Did you analyze the reputation of your store, of your company? Do you have any idea? Please don't hesitate to let us know in the poll. So as a fact, like finally, as of 2017, before, the impact of Google reviews on SEO has also increased by over 20%. So that's a very strong signal that Google is giving to the reviews too, to allow now businesses to rank higher on the search result and get more visibility. This trend is calculated according, of course, different factors: the number of reviews, the average score, the frequency, and the response rate. Well, now there is also more. Of course, it seems obvious, but to respond, why it's important to respond to the reviews, it will be because you will be able to strengthen the relationship with your customer. Essential channels in terms of customer relations. If you respond to a review, the internet user who submitted the review will be notified, and you will show to actually that customer that you care, that you listen to them, and that you value their opinion. Positive or negative, this is the time here to make a friend. Then you can get in touch with a wider audience. The brand image to a large audience is very important here because Google listings is usually seen by hundreds or thousands of people, right? So when you're answering to someone, you're not just answering to this specific person. You are also giving your side of the story to the other prospects that could eventually see this review and base their choice on the content of this review. In this example here, you can see with QPark an example where the car owner's window has been smashed. And QPark responded with just the right amount of concern that if another internet user would saw this review, it would not prevent them from using this parking facility. In fact, a recent consumer study also stated that 68% of consumers are willing to change their mind about a place when the owner did respond to the review. So don't hesitate to answer to the bad ones too. Improving SEO, like we said just before, it will help you to improve the SEO because mentions that you have in the review help you to rank higher. For instance, if you were, I'm just talking about restaurants and bars today, but if you want to find a nice rooftop in a restaurant, if you type on the Google search rooftop, well, in most times, you will have this mention in the review sections thanks to other users. So the more you have keywords interesting there, the more you will rank on queries. To finish on the reputation part, let's give you guys a quick, like some tips to be able to quickly run down about how to go about responding to the reviews. The response time first, it's 48 hours maximum if you want to be in phase with the guidelines of Google. Then the desired response rate, should we respond to all negative reviews or positive reviews? Well, it's up to the resources that you would have and the organization that you can have internally. We would advise always to respond to 100% of the reviews. This is the end goal. But of course, we need to take into account your own resources. And then you would need to personalize, of course, your review, your response with the name, a good length for the response, but also a specific lexical tone, a tone of voice that is very familiar to your brand. And quickly, how can we impact this? At Partoo, we have been working on this to make sure that all of our clients, the 300,000 point of sale that we at this date are helping through this topic, we have made sure to follow the evolution of the Google algorithm and how we can improve years after years the performances that they get. So we offer several services to manage this and other issue of the marketing offices and your HQ to be present in all online platform of the various stores with both the presence part and the reputation part, but even more. So the first part is a product that we developed that is the presence management. So it allows you to manage everything at once. We have just seen from a single interface, a single platform for all of your stores, we will be able to update all your information on more than 20 online platforms, such as Waze, Google, Facebook location, Apple Maps, here, etc. Then we would have the review management part where we will be able to centralize all the review that you have on all of your stores, both on Google and Facebook, and we can manage all of this very easily thanks to a mobile application if you want to, but also some reply template that will help you to simply answer to all reviews on Google, Facebook, and TripAdvisor. You have notification and some alerts that will help you to filter all of this and be reactive and even more proactive thanks to the sentiment trends analytics that we can provide too. And also, when we have managed the online presence, that we manage the reputation, the goal will be to be better than the competitors in order to get chosen. So we will help you to collect more reviews thanks to QR code and SMS text to be able to collect this review easily on your listings. And last but not least, we will also help you with the newest product of Google, the messages, to be able to centralize all messages on Google, but also other partners, because it evolves a lot, even though it's not the purpose of this webinar, but people are getting more and more in touch through messages on Google, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. So you want to have a global tool where you will be able to centralize all interaction for your local businesses with one place. How just before and that I pass on to the Waze team, I will just very quickly explain the result that we had with one of our clients, which is Q Park. Hello, Crystal, if you're here today. So we have been helping them to manage their parking facilities across 7 European countries, and since 2020. The two main goals was to have a single solution to manage all the Google Business Profile with up-to-date information across 7 countries, and also to manage to save some time for the Q-Park team. So to date, the results that we have had are quite good. We're quite happy with that. We managed to help them to get 82% more actions in website visits, calls, and directional requests. Also, the views online increased by 50%, and the queries where they appear, so the direct, indirect, or discovery search or branded search that we've discussed this just in the beginning, we managed to improve them by 52%. So there is a full dedicated success story that we can give you just after this webinar, and you will be able to learn more. So far, I think now it's time for the Waze team to take over, but we've been helping so Q Park, but also a lot of different clients in the Benelux. Here, I think we have also April Botti with us in the room. We work with ENG, ABN AMRO, Blocker, Fletcher Hotels, and we would be very happy to be able to help you in any way we can. If you feel that this would be relevant for you, don't hesitate to let us know, and we would be happy to just make an audit of your current situation and help you to go further with some good guidelines and advice. That would be our pleasure. Thank you very much. Do you have any question on the Partoo side and the organic search? No?
Well, thanks a lot, Anthony, for this very, very interesting presentation. So now let's move on to the Waze part. So yeah, here is our agenda today and the different subjects we will have time to cover. So basically, I first present to you the Waze application. So I guess maybe there is Wazes today. I will also present to you some key navigation trends for both Belgium and the Netherlands. And then I will give the floor to Asa, who will actually present to you our ad solution and how Waze can actually be used as a media. And she will also present to you an interesting case study with KFC in the Netherlands. So first of all, who we are. So basically, here a quick introduction of the Waze application. So you all know Waze as a GPS, but it is more commonly used as a driving assistant. So our community will use the app as a reflex to have more visibility on the different problems they could actually meet on the road, like traffic, like radars, accident, etc., etc. And they will also use it as well in their daily mobility areas. It actually appears that 83% of navigations are made in average around 30 kilometers from home. And by the way, home is also the first top destination registered for both Belgium and the Netherlands. So Waze is really used at a very local level. And then if we quickly look at both audiences for Belgium and the Netherlands, we can see that basically it is constantly growing. So if we focus on the Belgian part first, so we have now 1.9 million of monthly active users, which is actually 10 times more than 6 years ago, as you can see in the slide. And by the way, it also represents 1 out of 4 drivers in the country who will actively use the Waze application. So we have a pretty great coverage here in Belgium. And well, same analysis for the Netherlands as well. So we have now almost 700k unique users, which is actually more than 4 times high than in October 2015. Sorry. And basically here when I say monthly active drivers, it really means that we only count here users who will actively use the application over the month. So indeed we have here the average session per week, so 12 for Belgium and 11 for the Netherlands. So yeah, it means that approximately the user will use the app approximately 2 times a day. And yeah, I've previously presented to you Waze as a local media. So, well, we have the proof here. The median distance per session is about 10 and 12 kilometers, respectively, for both Belgium and the Netherlands. So it really shows here that we are really used locally to help people reaching like close destination. For example, the nearest supermarket, the nearest gas station, the preferred restaurants or garages, etc., etc. And yeah, by speaking here about destinations, so we can see in this slide that we are indeed more and more used to help users reaching commercial destinations. Indeed, more than 1 out of 2 navigations are commercial destination. So it really shows here that our audience had a great purchasing power. And you have here also the detail of the top 3 destinations that are made on Waze. So first the retail, then the QSR, which represents actually all the restaurants, fast food, etc. And the automotive one, which is the dealerships, the garages, etc., etc. And yeah, now I will give the floor to Asa, who will present to you the how can Waze be used as a media, basically?
Yeah, thank you, Camille. So moving on to the part where we really now we got a clue about what is Waze in terms of metrics in both Netherlands and Belgium, and now actually how actually brands can use Waze to actually promote their services, promote their locations, and overall generate that brand awareness. So maybe some of you are actually using Waze, so maybe you know how the app actually works and you know how actually drivers interact with it. So what we first wanted to show is basically a landscape of the omnichannel communication and actually where Waze is positioned in this advertising landscape. So what we see on the left are actually medias that are static medias, meaning that those medias, they will reach people when they're not driving, when they're in a static position. So for example, these are media such as TV or even the newspaper or even social medias or YouTube videos. So all these channels actually reach a person. Potentially they can be somewhere, potentially they can be sitting at home or watching TV. So it is a very particular context, and actually these ads, they allow brands to actually build that brand awareness and that brand consideration. So then on the further right, we actually see that when the person actually is in their car, when they're driving, we see that the only channels that can reach people in this very particular context are, so we have radio, we have billboard, and then Waze. So we consider that Waze is in fact the only connected screen in the vehicle, because for our safety and for driver safety, we really hope that no one is scrolling on social media when driving. So given this very particular context, we actually say that Waze is the last point, the last mile to store advertising, meaning that this will be the last ad a person would see before they actually make their decision and actually decide to come to a specific store, specific restaurant, and enjoy a specific brand. So if we actually have a global look at this landscape, we see that some medias, they allow to work on the awareness part, but actually Waze is positioned between the two. So we build awareness, but at the same time, we actually allow people to navigate to a specific store and actually influence their decision based on the Waze ads. So to do this, to build that brand awareness and to actually bring that drive to store and increase the number of navigations that brands are generating, we have 3 advertising formats. So of course, for different brands, for different industries, we might be using 1 or 2 or all 3 formats. It really depends on the industry and the goal of each individual brand. So in very brief details, so we have the pins. Unfortunately, these were GIFs, but they are not working. So when we send the presentation, we'll actually have more screenshots so you can better see how the different formats work. So the very first format is the pin. When I say pin, it kind of indicates to you how it looks like. So it's a little pin with the logo of the brand. And it is basically positioned at all the stores that the brand has. So it is really about location awareness. It is really about showing to drivers that this specific store, they have this specific brand, they have many stores in, for example, in Paris or in Amsterdam or in the country of Belgium. And then, as Camille was saying, driver on average, they have between 10 and 12 journeys on Waze. So thanks to the Waze ads, the driver will be multiple times exposed to your ads, and they would know that this specific brand, they actually have a very good store network coverage. And as a result, let's say, for example, you want coffee. Well, thanks to Waze, you may know that actually Starbucks, they have many locations in Belgium, for example. Then the second format is the takeover ads. So the takeover, so really the pin is about locations, whereas the takeover is more about brand awareness and offer awareness. So if a specific brand has, for example, minus 20% discount on some products, or they're launching a new, for example, car model, well, in this case, we'll be using the takeover ad that will actually allow us to build that brand awareness. How it works is that takeover, it's basically shown to the drivers when they're stopped. So of course, this is when you're in bad traffic or red traffic light. So the takeover banner will appear on your screen and it will show, for example, as I was saying, minus 20% or buy one, get one free offer, which will actually really build that offer and brand awareness. And then, so the pin is really about location awareness. Takeover is about brand and offer awareness. And then thanks to building those two, we actually arrive at the ultimate goal of Waze, which is to bring drivers to bring more navigations to your stores, to the locations of the brands. And many of these locations are actually happening through the search. So how the search works, well, it's kind of very similar to Google search. Like you can look for specific brands. For example, you can look for KFC, or you can look for more generic keywords such as restoration or food. And then when we actually look for food, for example, which is a very general keyword, and as Anthony was saying, when you go to Milan, you can look for bars, or you can just type pizza, for example. Well, in this case, all the restaurant chains that are advertising on Waze and that are related to pizza, they will actually appear on the search, which will actually give insights to the drivers to know more about like the offers they currently have, and actually influence their choice to actually come to one of the brands that we are advertising, because we are informing the driver before they make their decision about those specific offers, compared to a competitor who unfortunately is not advertising, and we have no clue about what offer they may have at the moment. So as I was saying, really the use of the three formats really depends on the industry and really the strategy of the specific client. For example, for brands such as supermarkets or QSR or even gas stations, of course, you'll be using all three formats, so pin, search, and takeovers. Then for automotive brands, as I was saying, for example, when we have, we have many campaigns of Mini, BMW, or even Mercedes. When those brands, they actually launch a campaign to communicate about a new car model, we'll be using a lot of the takeover format to actually communicate on a nationwide level, and not only at the car dealership locations. And similarly, for example, entertainment is a very unique category. I believe many of you might be surprised that actually entertainment brands such as Spotify, Disney Plus, or Nextory in the Netherlands, for example, are advertising on Waze. But why they do so is because what we should know about Waze is that it's very, very particular context, meaning that we reach 100% driving audience. So this really gives the chance, for example, to a brand such as Spotify or Nextory, a campaign that we did in the Netherlands, is to actually promote their services, like to promote, for example, podcasts or music apps into drivers who we know are in the car, they're driving, so we know that they might really have Spotify Premium, for example, while they're going to work or on like longer journey to go on holidays. So having said that there are many, many different brands on Waze, what we wanted to focus on today is the KFC campaign that we did we are actually doing in both Belgium and the Netherlands. As this is a restoration brand, we need to know that the best strategy for these types of brands or any service that is provided like the whole year, for example, gas stations, supermarkets, anything that is really a need, something that you can go to any day of the year. For these types of brands, we do the so-called like always on campaigns, meaning that for them, it's important to be live on Waze from, I don't know, like the 1st of January until the 31st of December, for example, every year. So, for example, KFC in Belgium, we don't have much time, so we wanted to focus only on the results of the Netherlands. What we wanted to show is really the impact of the Waze ads on the the navigations to their locations, and actually how do people actually react to their ads, and do they really remember that they have seen the KFC advertising on Waze. So the very first metric we have a look at is the navigation lift study. What is the navigation lift? Well, we actually split the Waze users in two. So they will be around 90% of the Waze users who will be seeing the ads of KFC. So meaning like the pin, search, and takeovers. And then the other 10% would not be seeing the ads. And we were actually performing the study to see if those people who were exposed to the Waze advertising, if these drivers, they actually tend to navigate more to the KFC locations. And the results turned out great, because these are the metrics that we have from Q4 2021, so just a few months ago. And we see that those people who were exposed to the Waze ads, they tend to navigate 22% more to a KFC location. And we observe similar results on the consideration part, meaning like building that brand awareness, building the ad recall. We see that actually people who have seen the ad, they remember it quite well, with 69% rate. So both of these two metrics, they really show that Waze has really positively impacted the navigation trend towards KFC. Of course, these are not only the two metrics that we measure on Waze. We have many different measures, such as navigations in general, like how many unique people actually have seen the ad, how many navigations we have generated to the locations, such as engagement rate. We have benchmarks for each country, or also on EMEA or worldwide level. But all these metrics, they're actually like confidential. They actually belong to the brand, so they belong to the KFC brand, and this is why we cannot share those. But the navigation lift and the ad recall, they have approved for us to share it. So we're happy to share it today. So this was the part about Waze. I don't know if you have any questions. I think it's a good moment to actually open the Q&A session, Anthony, if you allow me to.
Yeah,
I don't know, guys, if you have any questions for Partoo or for the Waze or any metrics you'd like us to share.
Yes, I think we got one.
Oh, okay. Let me have a look.
From Caroline.
I think Caroline has a questions. So there's an offer promotions really driving people to a supermarket. And if I say completely the question, so a typical user would enter a destination Waze in order to find the best way to arrive there as quickly as possible and avoid traffic. And yeah, I've answered. So basically, we will not be positioned as a media who will actually get around drivers. So the purpose with Waze would be to actually really work on the local awareness, so you could actually be top of mind among Wazers and among all the competitors. So Wazers could have you in mind, your brand in mind, in order to plan a visit towards one of your stores. But yeah.
Yeah, and just to add, actually the goal, for example, because your question is very particular for a person who is actually search for a supermarket, maybe a particular supermarket. Well, in this case, what the benefit is that maybe you looked for a supermarket to buy, okay, very silly example, but like let's say toilet paper. And then you wanted the fastest way to actually go to the supermarket in this situation. So you're looking for a supermarket, and actually what the search allows the brand to do is that, okay, I'm a driver, I go there for toilet paper, but maybe the supermarket today has an offer on Easter eggs, for example. So in this case, right before I come to the store, unfortunately, we cannot see it on, like we had animations, but they are not working. But when we send the deck, you're going to see the screenshots. So what the benefit of the search is that right before you actually decide to go to this location and do click on drive there to navigate to the location, actually you'll see a banner. So in this case, maybe the supermarket will be advertising like, I don't know, chocolate eggs, or I don't know, like frozen pizza on promotion or something like this. So right before I go to the supermarket for my toilet paper, well, I'll be exposed to this advertising, and maybe I'll consider this other product. And actually that is the benefit for CPG brands. For example, if we have Coca-Cola advertising at the supermarket, once again, maybe I was coming for, let's say, my toilet paper, but I saw that Coca-Cola, they have a promotion that if I buy 2 bottles, I may win a glass of something, for example. So it is really the benefit that we're going to see a product before I actually come to the store and be informed about the offer. I think there are a few other questions.
Yeah, to answer it to you, Jeff. So basically, the question was: is it possible to easily have a special ad set running on Sunday for all summer to promote that your store is open on those days? So yeah, it is of course totally possible. You can adapt your different ads according to different days. So we are really communicating on those type of opening days on Sundays. For example, we have a lot of examples with Colorado. Another one with, as I have in mind, with the Westland Shopping Center, which actually advertise on their opening on Sundays, only during Sundays, or you could actually communicate before, like already in the Saturday that we will be open in Sundays. So basically, yeah, that's possible to adapt to your different communications.
Yeah. And I see there's one last question, I think. So if it's possible to advertise if we don't have physical locations, yes, it is possible. That's what I wanted to say, that depending really on the brand, on their goals, we can use the 3 formats, so pin, search, and takeover, or only a mix. So when we have a brand that only wants to build awareness and to not bring people to a specific locations, in this case, we only use the takeover format. And then there are possibilities, I don't know, to set it only, because you're saying it's about promoting job offers. So for example, if you want to focus on specific city, we can only advertise job offers in that specific city, or we can target the whole country. So indeed, it is possible. And I think there's one more question. There is a question about using the pins ads when you have multiple brands at the same point of sale. So in this case, this is not a very common situation, I believe, not at least not for the Netherlands. I don't know, Camille, for Belgium, if it happens very often. But in this case, like we will deliver because Waze works in terms of impressions. So the pricing method is in terms of impressions. And when we launch a campaign, we can actually predict how many impressions we can generate to like those specific locations, because as a navigation app, we know how many people are passing in this area. So if it happens that we have multiple brands that are available at the same locations, so you mentioned, for example, automotive sector, but also actually another situation we kind of often have is like shopping malls. So in this case, what happens is that the brand, so we will deliver the impressions for both of the brands, but of course, depending on the budget, potentially there will be one brand who has higher budget, meaning more impressions, or they'll be visible most of the time, and then the other brand, so brand B, will actually have less impressions, but they would still be visible, but not all the time.
Yes, thanks, Asya. There is one last question about Western shopping. Yeah, I mentioned basically that they were communicating on Waze. And to answer to you, Jeff, so they are communicating about themselves basically to raise their local awareness. They are communicating about the sales, the summer sales, the winter sales. They are communicating about their, I think, 3 hours of free parking. So yeah, they are communicating about themselves, but it's actually totally possible to communicate about all the brands being physically present directly in the shopping malls.
Yeah, we had an example, so it's not in the Netherlands or Belgium, but it was an example in Romania. And what we did is basically the banner, and I think it's the same in Portugal. They did a campaign right before the Christmas holidays. And what they do on the banner is actually to show many different logos of the different brands to actually tell drivers, okay, so we have, of course, we have food, we have entertainment, we have fashion stores. So it's actually the perfect time for you to come before the holidays. You can do shopping, but at the same time, you can do some entertainment, such as the cinema. And because Camille mentioned parkings, what we have also done is there are some shopping centers that tend to promote the EV charging stations. So this is actually also very, very common to do.
Yeah, and if I can add something about this too, Jeff. On Google, this is exactly the same thing. So basically, you can manage the Google listings about your shopping mall, and then you can manage all the listing within the shopping mall. So sometimes, if this is a brand that are well known, they will manage it themselves. But then you can have independent stores who are not managing that, and you could take the lead on this and also list all the services that you have in store, like as I mentioned, the parking, the charging station, but also, for instance, nursery services or a photo booth or anything that you may have that add value and that can drive traffic. That's what we're doing with Galimo, Carmila, which is the subsidiary of Carrefour. Also, we're working with many, many different real estate companies that are owning malls. So Google is also kind of important into this field.
I think ATM as well, to know that you can actually get some cash out. Yeah, I often say this about, yeah.
ATM, yeah, indeed. And also, Anne-Hélène, about the question that you had for multiple brand at the point of sales in the automotive sector, we are facing the same challenges with our clients, with Stellantis, with BMW, with many different key players. So not in the Netherlands, but more in France, Spain, or Italy. And what you can have there is that you can create multiple listings for one specific brand. So at the same point of sales, at the same address, you could have one listing for, I don't know, Hyundai, one listing for Peugeot, one listing for BMW. If you resell all of these brands, you could have a specific entry point and doorway on Google Maps for this brand. And that way you can increase the audience that can look for your specific point of sales according to one brand.
I don't know if there are any other questions. Of course, I think like when we'll be sharing, so I think you'll be sharing the deck. As I said, we'll do some changes to the Waze part so we can actually see the formats. And then you have all our contact details. So if there are any questions that pop up in your mind, like later on, really don't hesitate to contact Anthony or us. And we'll all be happy to help, of course.
I think there was one question just in the chat section. It got lost in there, not the question section as well, but it was from a Natalie just asking Partoo particularly if it's able to help with in terms of verifying listings as well as the duplicates.
Yes, thank you, Andy. Hi, Natalie. Yes, indeed, this is actually a topic that we have been doing and that was very important for ENG in the Netherlands. They didn't have verified all the listings that they had, and so it can be quite complicated if you go alone through this process because you need to get validation code from by email by mail directly for postal mail directly into your location. So thanks to the Google Business partnership that we have, we can help you to verify easily the listing without this validation code. And also we have a tool, a technology that is called duplicate management, where we will be able to help you identify all the duplicates on Google Maps. You give us the listing of all the stores that you have, and then according to the information that you have, name, address, we will be able to identify similar listings in the same radius, and then we will be able to help you to manage them, either erase them, merge them with actual ones, or anything that you want to do, we can help you to do it thanks to this technology. So first identify, then treat them, and then we correct the situation. But if you want more info on the process, please let me know, and I will be happy to help you with that. Well, perfect. If we don't have any more questions, then I think we can call it.
Yeah, I think we finished right on time. I was afraid that we were going to be short on time, but I think it was fine.
Right on time. Well, thank you everyone. Please let us know if you like this webinar. If you want more information, we will be, of course, available to assist you, both the Partoo and the Waze team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.